This is Little Caesars Pizza. How can I help you?
On July 8, 2003, a Little Caesars cashier in San Jose, California, received the most unusual call. A little girl with a whimpering voice, holding back her tears as she spelled every letter of her address, one by one.
I'm sorry? Who is this?
Little did they know, she had been kidnapped and her abductor was forcing her to call them. After multiple days of captivity, this had been her only contact with the outside world.
He went downstairs, came back upstairs with the pizza and was standing with the pizza box and was staring at me. And he handed me a flyer. And on the flyer was a picture of me and it said missing. Turned to me, he was like, I have to get rid of you tonight.
Kidnapped, assaulted, and held in bounds, 9-year-old Jeanette Tamayo was long gone when the police finally arrived at the scene.
A young girl was abducted from her home after school.
The police later got their hands on some footage from a nearby security camera, but it was quickly deemed useless due to the low quality of the recording.
Police have no leads in the disappearance of 9-year-old Jeanette Tamayo.
After days without any development in her case and no statewide Amber Alert issued, Jeanette knew she had to take matters into her own hands.
My fear turned into courage. And I told myself, I'm a fighter. I'm gonna make it.
In the thriving city of San Jose, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, 9-year-old Jeanette Tamayo just got off her school bus and was heading home. Once there, she noticed that the screen door was slightly ajar. She thought that maybe her mother came back from work early and didn't think much of it. Once inside, she went to her room and realized that something was wrong. Her bedroom window had been smashed and there was broken glass everywhere. She immediately took a step back and ran toward the phone to call her mom, but to her dismay, the cable had been cut off. Before she had time to understand what was happening, she heard someone knocking at the door. Jeanette turned around and saw a stranger behind the screen. Scared and confused, she reluctantly opened it.
And when he was asking me questions, he was kind of peeking inside, trying to see who was in there. And that started making me feel really uncomfortable, and I started slowly closing the sliding door.
I got scared because I felt a really bad vibe from him.
And he put his hand in the way, slid it open, grabbed me, and took me to my brother's room.
He threw me on the bed and took off my pants.
Out of respect for Jeanette, we won't cover the assault, as it is extremely graphic. After he was done, her attacker handcuffed her and tied her legs together. He then carried her to his car parked in the garage. There, the man tried to open the door, but couldn't lift it more than a few inches before he saw another vehicle stopping right in front of the garage. From the back seat, Jeanette recognized her mother's car.
My brother crawled under the garage. When it opened a few inches, the first thing I told him was to run.
But her attacker was already at it. He got out of the car and started walking toward him. At only 15, Paul knew he wouldn't stand a chance, but he chose to fight him anyway. He grabbed a screwdriver from the counter and ran at him. The man then immediately disarmed him and started.
Exact last words of Dwight D. Eisenhower, and they were pretty direct. After a long history of heart attacks and strokes, Eisenhower was hospitalized at the famous Walter Reed Hospital. He ultimately died from congestive heart failure, with his last words being, "I want to go. God take me." Sometimes presidents are ready to go, while others are taken far too soon. Like President John F. Kennedy, who is famously riding in an open motorcade in Dealey Plaza when a sniper's bullet struck his head, killing him in an instant. Now, we're not going to get into all the theories about who really killed JFK, but most believe the main dude responsible was Lee Harvey Oswald, who was murdered himself just 3 days later, making things even more suspicious. But before the assassination, Nellie Connolly was sitting in the middle row when she told JFK, "Mr. President, you can't say Dallas doesn't love you." And JFK responded, "No, you certainly can't," just seconds before he was shot. At just 46 years old, Kennedy was the youngest president ever killed in American history. And the man that took his place is tall drink of water with a top hat, Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents in American history. Although the Confederate South might disagree, because while watching a play at Ford's Theater, Abraham Lincoln was shot in the head by John Wilkes Booth, and unfortunately couldn't leave us with any words of wisdom. Instead, his final words were a casual reassurance to his wife in the theater box. She won't think anything about it. He was referring to what a friend might think of them holding hands at the theater. Scandalous. But after Lincoln's crazy assassination, VP Andrew Johnson took over, and he wasn't exactly.
The last thing I told Amber was, "Stay with your little brother and you'll come right back."
This is 9-year-old Amber Hagerman, living a happy life with her mother Donna and her little brother Ricky. A camera crew is following the family on little Amber's 9th birthday. The moments are captured for a documentary that will never be released. But the most disturbing thing about this footage is it was filmed just weeks before her abduction. These will become the last images of Amber Hagerman, the little girl whose name the world has come to know every time we hear an Amber Alert.
Chill. Get on the ground! Hey, here she is! Got her! We got her!
9-year-old Amber Hagerman, abducted in broad daylight as she was riding her bike. Her tragic story captured the nation's attention and changed the lives of thousands of children. But even if her case remained unsolved for 25 years, her mother vowed that Amber's death would not be in vain.
Amber desperately needs justice. I'm not gonna give up on her. Never.
It's January 13th, 1996. In the city of Arlington, Texas, Amber is over at her grandparents' house with Donna, her mother, and her little brother, Ricky. At 3:10 p.m., Amber grabs her bike and heads out on Highland Drive with her brother in tow. Before she leaves, she's told to go no further than the street block.
The last thing I told Amber was, stay with your little brother and you'll come right back. She was riding her bicycle. She turns around and she says, okay, Mommy, I love you.
3 minutes later, at 3:13 p.m., Ricky sees that his sister is going further than she's supposed to. He then decides to turn around and head home, leaving Amber by herself. When Ricky arrives alone, his mother Donna begins to worry. She and her father go out right away, looking desperately for little Amber. When last Ricky saw her, she was no further than the corner store, 2 blocks away.
I went screaming, hoping that she would hear me, that she would come home. She was gone.
Amber is nowhere to be found, but one man saw exactly what happened and called 911.
Arlington 911, what are you reporting?
Yeah, I saw a black pickup, and he grabbed a little girl and he took off toward town with her. And she hollered.
I had seen that little girl over there playing up and down there, and he run up behind her and grabbed her. He turned around and come right back to here where his truck was, where the door was open, and put her in the truck.
Right away, the police send a unit on site where Amber was abducted, while a search is launched around the neighborhood.
Tonight, we had some information to be on the lookout for a black pickup truck. Officers were following every black pickup truck that moved in the city.